Hi guys, this is the first video for those wireless relays and the wall switches. What I have here is actually two sets, so I'm going to take these out of here. That's a set I'm making for a buddy. The first thing you're going to want to do when you open them up is start labeling. So I have an A1 and A2 side of these switches, and I've already programmed one switch to the A2 button. Okay, so this one is just going to go up here right now. And what you're going to see is all these wires and everything else. I like to program these and test these before I install them. These do have about a 10% failure rate. Every 10 you order, you're going to get one, maybe two that are bad. I'd rather find out now while I'm bench testing them. If you're only going to do one, maybe just take a risk and install it. It is what it is. But when I'm doing four of them, I just like to do them all bench testing. It's as simple as just disconnected wires and reconnected them. So what I got here, I got a 12-volt power source. Okay. I got some thermostat wire. I'm an HVAC contractor, so I had that. You could use any wire you had. Even speaker wire would work for this, for what we're doing. And then I have it hooked up to my meter. Make sure you set your meter to DC. And that's just going to tell me when to make sure that the switch is working right. I should read 12 volts right there. You could hook up a 12 volt light to it. Anything that's 12 volts DC, you could hook up to there. The connections, anyone with an electrical background can do this. If you don't, you could figure this out just by Googling stuff. Google relays. And YouTube University is great for this. It's not that difficult. All a relay is a small switch, which is in here, that you are turning on remotely. There's a little electromagnet in here that pulls a piece of metal down that allows the current to go through. So you need to energize the magnet, and then you need to have a path for the electric to come in and then to go out. So what we have here is our, and you can see up here, V negative, V plus, normally open, common, normally closed. So what we got here is, this is our negative terminal, this is our positive terminal, so power's applied there all the time, okay? So this would be, if you're wiring this up in your camper, the power going to the light would go directly into here, and then you would have a negative that would come off that would continue to go onto your light. The positive gets a jumper wire that goes right back to our common, okay? So that's our positive right there now. This terminal is what's called normally open, which is basically a fancy way of saying off. That means the circuit is open. There is no path for electricity to get through. When we apply energy to the relay, it will close this set of terminals, and the power can then go to the light or to wherever you're going. So we want a normally open terminal, and we want to make sure we get power to our common, okay? You do have to feed this power all the time. That's why we have to have this jumper wire too, okay? Like I said, if you have electrical background, this should be pretty simple for you. Otherwise, please educate yourself so you don't, short anything out or cause any further problems. The website you order these from is actually really good in telling you how to program these, but I'm just going to do a quickie here. So the first thing you're going to do is there's this little white button right there. We're going to press that 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that clears any codes that may be in there from the factory, okay? And then the next thing we're going to do is press it twice. 1, 2. And then A2. So we want this switch right here. We're going to press this. And you heard that click, and now we have voltage there. So I'm going to press it again, and it goes off. It's as simple as that. Like I said, the website that you're going to order these switches from will show you in better detail how to press that button and why you're doing it. These relays can be set to open garage doors. They can be set to do a multitude of different things that we're just not going to utilize them for. So press it 8 times, that clears the code, and then wait press it twice. That sets it to toggle mode, and then you press the switch that you want to use, okay? As soon as I turn off this video, I am going to label the side of this A1. That way I can keep everything, I know which one is going where. So, all right, guys, just wanted to show you how you program them. All right, guys, we got the dress trim out of the, for the fan that we're going to hook the switch up to. And the big thing I learned with this is when you take it out, mark an X there and an X there. It isn't as important on the one in your bathroom because the one in your bathroom is going to be trimmed a little different. This lip right here is actually cut at an angle. But here, you kind of want to put it back in the same exact way you took it out. That way all your screw holes line up. Also, use hand tools. If you use a drill, you're going to strip stuff out. Take the extra time. Use hand tools. Don't over tighten stuff. This doesn't have to be super tight. It is what it is. We all know how these things are made. Here's our wiring that we're going to be tying into right here. And you can see they have a little piece of veneer right here set up. What I'm going to end up doing with that is breaking, cutting, whatever. Usually I take a razor blade and I score it. And I'll trim this up too, and I'll score it up there, and then I'll just snap this out of here, and that'll give me a nice cavity. There's insulation behind here. It's basically your roof deck. So this is just like an 1/8 inch thick piece of subflooring or something. So we're gonna snap that out of there, and that's where we're gonna put the relay. And this is the wiring we're gonna be tying into. So this is gonna be our neutral. So what we'll be able to do is shove one of my, disconnect these two that go to the fan right there. Well, I'll leave the neutral hooked up, but then I'll add another negative that'll go to my relay, and then this will be disconnected. This will go to the normally open contact on the relay, and then I'll run a new line from here that goes to the relay for the power and for the common terminal. And that'll be it. And we'll be all set. So after I'm all done, I'll take another quick video and put it all back together. All right, guys. Thanks. All right, guys. So we got that little piece of wood cut out that I was telling you about right there. And then we got our hot going from here. Goes into our supply voltage, the little jumper going over to the common, and then the black wire going to the fan. The neutral still goes to the fan, or the negative, and then the negative just has a little jumper wire going to the relay. Make sure you use appropriate size wire. I know my wire looks a lot smaller than the wire that's there, but 18 gauge wire can be used in 12 volt applications under 2 feet up to 20 amps, which I never would want to float that many amps through an 18 gauge wire, even if it was under 2 feet and at 12 volts. But this fan draws like a 1/2 amp, so it's not going to be an issue. If you feel more comfortable using 12 gauge wire, go right ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. 14 would be sufficient also. This just happens to be what I have. I'm really familiar and comfortable with the sizing and everything else. The last thing we're going to do is these relays came with these little plastic cases. You do have to trim out the end of them. I just kind of break them off with some nibblers. All it's for is just to kind of protect it while it's up inside the ceiling cavity. It's not really gonna get secured to anything. Just like that, and that'll just all get tucked right up inside of here. It looks like I need to make my hole just a little bit bigger to get that in there. But we can now see that with the switch, so this switch plate will just get mounted on the wall, probably somewhere like right about there or something, and we'll be able to operate that fan. Big thing with these fans, if you don't know, when you operate one, you need to crack the other one. I used to have a Fantastic fan and I loved it. This one, it will work great, but you have to crack the other fan a little bit to give air a path to come in. These campers are sealed up reasonably tight. You know, cracking a window would also do the same thing. You just need a path for air to get in for this fan to work correctly. I smoke a vape, so I see it basically, you know, clear as day when something isn't cracked. It just recirculates the air that it exhausts. It brings it back in. It'll exhaust it through here, then it just brings it back through here and really doesn't do anything to the air inside the camper. So just a little side note. But anyway, there you go. I'm going to put this all back together. Remember, we have our X there, so everything will go back together the same way. We're going to use hand tools so we don't strip anything out. And then I am going to wire the other switch, I think, to this light above the microwave. Now, if you noticed, this light is already switched from here, but I don't think the squeeze is worth the juice to try to take this light down, open up the hole, get the relay up in there. I think what I'm going to do is just pop this panel off and tap into this switch right here. This is also a good time to where if your switches are flip-flopped, like mine was, this switch was originally for my slide out and this one was for the on-in, so I flip-flopped those while I had everything apart. When you do flip-flop them, make sure you flip-flop both wires and not just one, because I believe they are different amperages on the fuses. So if they are flip-flop from the factory, that's a good time to do it while you have this panel off. It's as simple as popping these 4 screws out with the screwdriver. We're going to put the relay off of here. There'll be a neutral somewhere inside there, I'm sure, that I'll be able to attach to. If not, we'll figure out something else, but that's my plan for right now. I know it's kind of redundant having 2 switches on the light, but it'll still be easier just to come in and hit it right there, instead of reaching up, especially for the kids and the little one and all that. So, all right, guys. Well, my headlamp is telling me it's time to get off here. I'll let you know how the final install goes. Alright guys, this is the last one. We opted to do the one underneath the kitchen sink. And what I was able to do was carefully cut with a razor blade and then snap the little pieces off so I had enough room to get my case up in there. So once again, I've disconnected the hot wire from the hot. So we're going to put our hot in here. Goes right there, and that's going to go to our 12-volt input on our relay, which is the V plus. This is going to go to our normally open tap on our relay, the NO. Remember, we got that jumper between V1 and common, so that's how the common is going to get the power to the light, because the switch is in between NO and common. Give everything a little tug. And then lastly, we got our neutral, which we can just double tap right off of these nice little quick connectors they do have. And that's going to go to V minus. Okay? And then before we put everything in its little plastic box, we're just going to test it. Make sure that switch is on. All right, so we are all set. Just make sure when you cut that out that your footprint, your cutout isn't any bigger than the footprint of the light. If you're unsure, you can take a pencil and just trace a circle around there. So when you pull it off, you know exactly what your footprint's going to be. Pencil washes off of wood fairly easy, which is soap and water. Worst case, you use the eraser. But other than that, guys, I think this is a wrap. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Hey guys, one last thing here. Remember, I'm not a content provider, so this video is shaky at best. But when you put these screws back in, get your finger up there and you want to push the wires out of the way because you don't want these screws hitting those wires. The thickness between this shelf and the bottom of this is about the exact thickness of the relay box. So if you started to screw that screw into that relay box, there isn't much room or tolerance for it to push over. So make sure you get your finger up there, feel the hole, and kind of push everything out of the way. The wires, as long as they're a little bit offset from the hole, will move themselves out of the way, but still try to do your best to route everything away from the holes when you put it back in. Something like that will drive you nuts trying to figure it out. So just a little pro tip for you guys. I just wanted to get that in there. All right, guys. Bye.